Okay. So in other words, you're not going to have a test, official test on chapter 6. You're going to have a quiz and then be tested again on the semester exam. Now, after January, when y'all come back, I probably still won't have a test. We'll do those 2 sections, and I'll probably give you a quiz or something.
Did you get a new pen?
Yes, why?
It looks different.
All right, we're graphing lines. Okay, everyone has their opinion on this. I know one of you in the middle said, oh, I hate this, da-da-da-da-da-da. I get it. Some people absolutely hate this stuff. This has always been my favorite. It's just weird. I'm just weird that way. All right, we are going to talk about linear functions. And hopefully I can make this not as painful. Linear functions or linear equations. Didn't even fit in the thing. Okay, linear functions or linear equations. Notice they have the word line. Now, it says line. So what you're doing is you're graphing lines. And I don't have my posters up. Someone's going to have to remind me to do my posters probably tomorrow. And I'm switching all these out. I know most of you don't see them anyway, but because of where this is. But I'm going to have all of the different posters up here on how to graph lines. Yes, they will be there during the test. Most of you won't use them because you just forget they're there. I've even had students, I think I mentioned, walk over here and start looking at them. Mm-hmm. All points that satisfy them form a straight line. So we're talking about a straight line here. No more curves, really. Franz, I better see your pen or pencil moving. So straight line. Okay, the first thing I'm going to teach y'all, which isn't used quite as often. In fact, I really don't even like teaching it because it's not used that often, but I have to. You got to learn. It's called the standard form. In fact, there's probably some of you that had me last year that won't even remember this, but will remember everything else about this stuff. This is when dealing with a linear equation. Remember, whenever we talk linear, we're referring to line. It's in the word. And the standard form is ax plus by equals c. Like I said, some of you may remember this. Some of you are like, I don't even remember this. There could be one or two of you that, oh, that's right, that's right. Chap, you don't remember? See, exactly, that's what I'm talking about. We don't use it that often. Now, everything else, yes. This one,
very vague. Vaguely remember this.
okay, so basically, the letters represent numbers. Like 4x plus 2y equals 14. The letters represent numbers.
Is that why they're capitalized?
I don't know why they're capital. Yeah, I guess they are. So they represent any real numbers. So I'd rather skip this and get to the good stuff, but we have to learn this. Now, so, I mean, that makes sense. You know, the letters here represent any real numbers. Okay? It can be any number here. 10x plus 13y equals 5,000. Okay, it doesn't matter. It just represents. Now, there's some rules. I'm going to put 3 stars here because these are some rules you've got to remember. AX should never be negative. Never, never, never should this right here be negative.
Is that talking about the number it would equal or both of the numbers?
It would represent that letter. The whole group, the whole term. And I'm going to give you an example. Let me set the alarm so we don't get out too late. Okay, now I'm going to show you. And you may like this, but if you ever get a denominator, you're going to hate it because you got to change it. No denominators. Now, I will tell you, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I want to get to the good stuff today. So, in standard form, there it is. You need to know that the letters represent any number. And AX can never be negative. You're going to have to change it if it is, and I'm about to give you an example. And there cannot be any denominators. Matthew, you got this? Okay, because I mean, this is like new stuff, so I want to make sure y'all got it. All right. Example, and this will answer your question. Let's say I have y equals x plus 5. Now, those of you that I've drilled y equals mx plus b in your head, you're looking at that saying, oh, that's perfect, it's good, don't make any changes, now I can graph that. Unfortunately, you've got to walk away from that. You got to walk away and say, no, the directions told me I have to put it in standard form. 90% of your work in the next couple of chapters, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, this format is perfect, okay? But sometimes they're going to say put it in standard form. Matthew?
What's y equals?
I haven't taught you that yet. I taught them this last year. I haven't taught y'all. We haven't gotten to it yet, so be patient. So, is this in AX plus B equals C, AX plus BY equals C format? No. The X is on the wrong side of the equal sign. Do y'all see that? So, you first have to put in standard form when they ask you to. Not every time, boys and girls, because a lot of times they're going to tell you to put it in the other form. When they tell you to put it in standard, this is what they're talking about. And the standard form, again, is AX plus BY equals C. So we've got to move this stuff around to make sure it looks like AX plus BY equals C. So I'm going to rewrite it. Now, Keith, how do I maneuver my stuff around to make it look like this, where X and Y are on one side of the equal sign? Okay, so you're doing intruder alert, right? And he said we're going to have to subtract. We got to get this X over here. Because look, see, X plus Y. Well, the Y is all by itself. To put it in standard form, we're going to have to subtract X on both sides. That gives us a no-no. Negative X plus Y equals 5. Now, if you notice, it's now in the X plus Y, or AX plus BY equals C format. Do y'all see that? Yes. Oh, hold on. So Keith and Miranda and a lot of you are like, well, wait, Ms. Rogers, you just said you can't have a negative AX. Notice, chap, there's no number here, but that's okay, because what do we pretend is there? A 1. So it doesn't matter if there's a number there or not. Basically, what I'm saying is there's not an A and there's not a B. There could be. There's a 1. But the whole thing cannot be negative. So, like Miranda said, do we just move it over? Yes, but watch. This is a no, no. So, we're going to move that and apply it other places. Watch what I do. That X, everyone look, everyone look, everyone look. Franz, there, look, there. This becomes a positive. What does positive Y become? Negative. What does the positive 5 become? There you go. There is your AX plus BY equals C format. The Y most certainly can be negative. You just can't have the A. Okay, Chap's got a question. I can see the look on his face. What's up, buddy?
So the negative would be like in all circumstances. The negative wouldn't be on just like if you had an actual number as the A, would it be
You would still do the same thing.
A but then negative X? Like,
Okay, for example, y'all don't have to write this unless you have the same question. Like, let's say it was negative 2x. Would that be okay? Is that what you're asking?
no, like what if you had 2 negative X?
No. Then that would be 2 minus x.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But like if it was in
What?
parentheses.
Can you work that one out though?
Yeah. Okay, so let's say it was negative 2x plus, oh, I don't like that, minus 3y equals negative 6. Oh no, we can't have a negative AX. So I'm going to make that positive. What happens to this becomes what? Positive. What happens to that negative 6? Positive.
That's it?
Yeah.
What's the dot with the line?
Oh, I had a plus, and I decided no, I want to put a negative there. It's a mistake. New. No. And good question. She said in standard form would the Y go first, right? Like switching these here? No, you need, it's kind of like that Y equals MX plus B. I'll teach you math. Don't worry. You don't want to switch the X and the B. You know what I'm saying? You know how we have to kind of move that around, even though it's on the same side of the equal sign, because it stands for something. Well, that's kind of the same thing here. It's just a rule. Don't worry, spend too much overthinking it.
Because there's y minus x, so y should go first.
No, X should always go first. Alphabetical order. Okay, does everyone have this? Let's move on. Okay, here we go. This is the good stuff. All right, get to writing. We got a lot of writing. Graphing a linear function. These are steps. Step 1. And those of you that had me last year are going to recognize this, but you still need to write it. I mean, it's 2020. It's in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Brain farts happen. You're going to solve the linear equation for y. All right, we're going to solve for y. Some of you that have had this before know exactly where I'm going with this. Basically, you're getting y on one side of the equation. And don't argue with me on this because this is in a different case, okay? You'll see what I'm talking about. Step 2, make a table of at least 3 ordered pairs using, oh Lord, right here, convenient values for x. We're assuming we haven't learned slope yet, boys and girls. So if they give you an equation, you got to solve it for y first. Have y equals everything else. Then you're going to make a table and you're going to choose values for x and y. Convenient. If it had 1/3, remember y'all had this the week before Thanksgiving. If you have something that says 1/3, are you going to choose x's that are like 2 and 4? Because 2 times 2/3 is going to give you something really weird that you're going to have to graph. So when it says convenient values, that's what they're talking about. If it says 1/3 or 2/3 that you got to multiply with some random x, you're going to want to choose multiples of 3. 3, -3, 6, -6 for your x's. Okay? And y'all did this right before Thanksgiving. Step 3, graph ordered pairs on a Cartesian, y'all know what that is, plane. Cartesian plane, in case you forgot, looks like this. Franz, I do not see all this on your paper. And step 4, connect the dots. Connect the points or the dots, whatever you want to call it.
So in all cases, you'll have to make up x's.
Right now you are. Pretty soon we'll be doing slopes and stuff like that. I have students during this section try cheating because they remember so well what slope is that they forego the table and just start graphing stuff. I get it. If you remember last year or how to do slope, I'm not going to argue with you.
Until you start getting it home.
Until you start getting it home. Now, straight line. Rulers are a must. Your graph paper, we kill trees. I want every square to represent 1, 2, 3. If you have a half, that belongs in between your squares. That's it. Everything else, every line is a 1, a 2, a 3. I don't care if it takes up a whole page. I do not care. Okay. Make sure y'all have that. And guys, if we don't get through this in one day and we need to do it in 2, that's okay. Like I said, we're in a really good place. And some of y'all, I want this you will carry through geometry, algebra 2, calculus, pre-calc, trig. You will see this stuff. So this is one chapter we're not rushing through. Okay? We are not rushing through this. Valeria, you got it? You still writing? We can wait. Like I said, I'm not rushing through this.
No, I'm almost done. I just need the last one.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Seriously, we're in a good place. We're not like behind or anything. Okay. Some of you are going to remember this. Y-intercept. Again, this is 6.1. So those of you that remember the y-intercept, that's great. Just don't say anything. This is the point, and I don't get why people have trouble with this, where the graph, you know that line? I'm going to put line, intersects the y-axis. Franz, you are writing like everyone else. It's where the line crosses the y, boys and girls. While you're writing this down,
So it's the intersection.
I'll show you in just a minute. And I wish I had my poster up.
On a Cartesian plane.
On our Cartesian plane. Just write this down, please. Trust me when I tell you. I have students, and I think it's because you're so focused on everything else that the common sense like escapes your brain. Because when I ask, what is the y-intercept? Just by looking at a graph, students have trouble with that. And it literally is where the line, or your graph actually, crosses the y-axis. This line right here. And I'm going to give you an example because, again, I want to go slow on this. And I'll wait till everyone's got this down. Got it? Sophia, you still writing? Okay. All right. So, for example, oops. Here's my x-axis and my y-axis. Let's say I have a line right here. Now, look at that. This is my line. This is my graph. This is a Cartesian plane. This is not your graph. This is your graph. This is your line. So the y-intercept is where your graph or the line crosses the y-axis. This is your y-axis, right? Raise your hand if you can tell me where it crosses. Miranda? What number? Right here. This is 1. This is 2. So your y-axis is 2. If you want to be appropriate, it would look like this because it is an ordered pair where x is 0 and y is 2. Now, for some reason, and it's not because people are dumb or anything, but for some reason, this is a hard concept to understand. And you're going to need to know this for the rest of this chapter and the next one and stuff like that. The y-axis is literally where your line crosses the y. Now, y-intercept crosses the y-axis. See, it's probably why people are confused because of me. All right, so this right here is the y-intercept. Does everyone understand that? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so you're actually jumping ahead. This one right here, what would that be, guys? And it's at -2. So the x-intercept, and that should have said intercept. No one said anything. That's why everyone's confused. The x-intercept would be -2. And it would officially be written as -2 and 0. So your teacher does not care which one you give me as long as you understand what it is. No, if you want to write it down, you can. But it's just, kind of showing you. And I know some of you are like, well, that's kind of common sense. You'd be surprised. I have kids that really get confused. And then they get mad, frustrated, and cry. And there's no crying about it. Okay. That leads me to the x-intercept. It's the same thing, just opposite. Now, notice I have a star with the y-intercept. That's because you're going to use this 95% more. But for right now, you have to write this down. This is the point where the graph intersects the x-axis. And I just gave you a demonstration of that. Franz, this better be written down. Okay, so it's the opposite. I showed you a picture of it, now you know. Make sure you have this down, and then I'm going to give you some more information. You got this, Matthew? Still writing? All right. I'm not rushing, just want to make sure. Got it? All right, now, I'm going to put 3 stars here. Some of you are going to remember this from last year as being a huge headache. Better write it down. If you have an equation that says y equals, and I'm going to put a question mark, any number, can someone from last year remember what the graph is going to look like? Anyone? Vertical or horizontal? Horizontal. You're going to need to know that. If you have x equals any number, what's the graph going to look like?
Vertical.
Let me show you. As soon as you get that down.
Oh, what's the horizontal line crosses y? The vertical line crosses
I thought vertical would be actually exactly
y. Right, crosses y.
okay, that makes more sense.
So, for example, if instead of if they gave you y equals 2x plus 4, that's going to be a diagonal line going different directions, right? But if they just gave you y equals 2, there's no slope, and I'm going to explain that better later. Here's your y-intercept. There's nothing else there, so it's just going to go this way, horizontal. If it's x equals -2, if this is all that they gave you, here's -2, it's going to go up and down vertical. And that's what that means. That's if that's the equation. And this is going to make more sense later, I promise. Okay? All right. It will, I promise. Next. No, let's do some, let's see what time, oh yeah. Let's do some examples. Page 235 to 236. Open up your book, 235, 236. Sophia, read the directions on page 235 for number 1.
Make a table of at least 3 ordered pairs, then graph each linear equation on its own set of axes.
Okay, so number 1, they give you this equation. Got it? Okay, now remember, in this part, blah, 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 blah. Unless it says standard form, they tell you to solve the linear equation for y. Y equals blah, blah, blah. If you notice in section A, the part that we're doing, they're already solved for y. They all have y equals something or another, okay? So here we go. This says make a table. So we have x, and then we're going to put our equation in here, and we're solving for y. So it says give how many? Find at least 3 ordered pairs. All right, so Sophia, since this is yours, give me 3 suggested ordered pairs.
-2, 0, 3.
And 3?
Yes.
Okay. I would always suggest to get a negative and a positive whenever possible. Okay, so she came up with these randomly. So now we're going to put, are y'all watching? We're going to substitute, Matthew, you watching? This x with the one that she chose. -2 minus 6. What do you get? Very good. And then we're going to substitute that x in the equation for 0. Franz, what do you get?
-6.
-6. And then we're going to have 3 minus 6. What do you get, Miranda? There you go. So my ordered pairs are -2 and -8, 0 and -0 and -6, and 3 and -3. There we go. Now you would do this on graph paper. I'm going to do it right here to show y'all. So then we graph -2 and -8. 2 and then -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 0 and -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 3 and -3. 1, 2, 3. And then we connect the dots. And your graph should look similar to mine. And that's how you do number 1. Any questions about number 1? Make sure everyone's got it.
What does it mean by axis?
Axis.
Plural.
Yeah.
Like X's?
No, axis.
Axis.
This is the x-axis. That's the
Oh.
y-axis. So axes instead of axes, it's oh, I don't either. So I don't teach it. Does everyone have this? All right, let's look at 3. It's y equals -2x plus 5. Okay, so we're going to choose and is it already set as y equals whatever? That's important, right? It says in the first steps, it says always have it equal to y, and it already is for you, so that's good. Setting up my table. Okay, Let's see. Chap, name an X. A random one.
5.
Huh?
-5.
-5. Okay, and Valeria, give me another X. A random one. 3. Matthew, give me one.
0.
Okay, so let's start substituting these random X's in with that one. So that's -2 times -5 plus 5.
15.
Oh, this is going to be a big graph. Okay, so here we have -2 times 3 plus 5. What would that one be, Sophia? -1. And new, what would this one be? 5. So then my ordered pairs are -5 and 15, 3 and -1, 0 and 5. All right, so I'm going to, over here, start graphing it. Okay, Chaps is way up here. That's 3 and -1 and 0 and 5. Okay, connect the dots. There we go. So your graph should be somewhat similar to mine. Any questions on how to do this? You understand how to make a table and all that good stuff? All right. Yes. Oh, I'm about to show you. I'll wait till everyone's got this down. Does everyone have this? All right. Look at number 5 instead of number 6. 5 is y equals 4. Can you even make a table with this?
No.
There's no x. Just like with number 6, there's no y. Okay, so I think Valeria's got it. You don't even have to make a table with this. If y is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's right here. There's your graph. The only ordered pair, I mean, you could choose along here, but really your ordered pair is 0 and 4. You could say 1 and 4 would be on there. 1 and 4. Anything on there. You could say, 4 and 4. Anything on that line. But if y is only 4, then it's a horizontal line. Just like number 6, it says, yeah, it'd be vertical. Make sense? All right. I got Life 360 for my family
Oh.
yesterday.
Norton.
And Allie has hacked into it and changed everyone's names. Like my husband is Joe Dirt. Her name is Joe Mama. And she's changed the name of our house to Tammy's Taco Shack. And so like alerts are coming up and I don't even understand any of them. She's turned off notifications, she's done this, she's done that, she's moved Zachary around all over the world and everything, so it's not working.
Actually hacked into
I don't know how she did it.
What's Life 360?
Style 360.
Live
You
360.
can track your family.
Yeah. It shows your speed and everything.
That's funny.
But who's
Okay.
the one who bought it?
So we're gonna stop right there. I want to do the rest of the examples tomorrow when y'all are more awake, and then I'll assign the stuff tomorrow. So y'all have about 5, 6, 7 minutes of downtime. Y'all can just kind of kick back and relax. I don't want to keep going because I want this to be fresh in your head.